And hello everybody, it is I, the Heroscaper, professional box opener. Today we're going to be putting those skills to the test, as I have kindly received quite a few boxes from Renegade with figures and terrain from their latest release, the Embers of War. This release marks the end of all the revealed HasLab figures, as well as some new pieces thrown in the mix. So needless to say, we had a lot of ground to cover. Let's dive right into this and open some boxes. All right, so first off, we have the Ruins at Laur's Edge. This is, first off, just a hefty box. This feels like it weighs a couple of pounds. It's a very solid box. Here's the back of the box as well. Pretty much we have some blurbs on how pretty much after 2 years of war, all that remains are decimated ruins. This box is interesting as it adds some really cool height and versatility to the lore walls. Honestly, it kind of upgrades them in significant ways. I had a box for myself I previously opened and I was in love with it. Let's open this up and showcase this off. Like I said, very hefty, very chunky, all wrapped individually. I think it's interesting that this box doesn't have instructions, as the lore walls are a bit tricky. I think that is one thing that would have been appreciated, but I do like how they are all relegated in their own individual bags. Regardless, we're gonna just kind of open these up and kind of inspect them real fast, and probably put them on the map as I play with my toys. All right, so first off, we have the straight edge pillars here, which are like the ones from the original Master Set release, except you may notice that they have a bit of indentation on the side. This, of course, allows you to stack up your pieces as high as you so desire. But typically, for stability, I think you want to go about 2 or 3 high. Of course, you take these pieces and you hook them onto their respective hexagonal base. So you can make the Leaning Tower of Pisa for your board. But like I said, at this height, it does start to get a little wobbly. But you can definitely do, if you buy a couple expansion packs of this, you can get some really significant, cool development. In terms of battlefield mechanics, I don't know if they offer a whole bunch of extra utility, but it is just nice to add some of that extra height, as it really allows it to just give so much more versatility to these pieces here. You definitely want to make sure that you kind of know the direction that you are building these in, as as we'll see later, the kind of connecting pieces need to be put in a certain way. Next up, we have the smaller wall pieces, and I'm not by any way a master building these, but there are just a lot more options. If you want to attach these auxiliary walls to the respective pieces, you kind of lift those up and then put it down. And same goes for the connecting piece. This is nice because it does allow for just some extra stability the more you do it. And again, this is kind of the thing where you want to be aware of where you're wanting to go. I'm not sure if this is meant to go like, I'm trying to get it, and it's correct dimension here. Honestly, the small walls, I have the hardest time remembering how to place them, as I can't really remember exactly the configuration that you want to place them on the board. I think they might be more for angular placements, if memory serves me well. So you can take them and there you go. So you want to definitely kind of line up your bases first and then connect them like so. And then you can build really cool structures. This really just modifies the just dynamics of this. I, as a Heroscape filmmaker, really appreciate these, as you can add some really cool backgrounds. I think this is the most significant piece in the whole box, as this allows a bit of an opening for the figures to pass through. And again, just kind of creates a bit more of a dynamic line of sight blocker. Overall, I was kind of like unsure if this was a necessary addition to the game, but as I just build these towers, it definitely brings back that kind of fun nature of building those giant Fortress of the Valkyrie tiles. And just kind of connect it like so. These ones typically kind of, you want to line up like this. You can adjust the angle of the bases to line up where you need to go. As I said, I'm not a master at these, but once you kind of get the hang of it, they really just clip onto your terrain. This is also great for things like D&D if you're looking to just add some fast height or other war game systems that use a hexagonal map placement. This is really great for some structures, as we can do a lot of unique builds now. We also, I didn't mention it, but we also have triangular walls. Triangular walls add a bit of angularity to it, so we can create mazes and labyrinths for your Heroscape game. We also have these end wall pieces. These are great for adding a bit more of line of sight blocking and adding some little alcoves for your figures to hide out in. And of course, you can kind of connect these all together, make big structures, or just keep them individually on the field. It is worth noting, here's a modified, a painted old one, that the old ones do not have the X crossing end, so you can't stack up on the old ones, but you still are able to connect at ground level with the original tiles. So these just are very dynamic in what they can do for your builds here. Like, this is really, I'm hoping map makers really find fun use of all this. And this is definitely a set that does well with multiple sets, as you can have more of these wall openings and create really cool structures. And I'm just kind of building here, just building this kind of more elaborate setup, seeing how far I can kind of take it. And of course, then you can kind of, once you build the base structure, you can start stacking it up. Typically you want to kind of build this up once you build the base, and then you start getting some fun options here. Just that verticality. It doesn't add much to internal gameplay, but by golly, it is kind of cool. Now you can kind of just go here, kind of lift it, and then press it back in. And look at that. We have a very unique and a structure that is just kind of never seen before in Heroscape. Like, there's so many options available to this. It's a very clever design to all who worked on this. And I think it's probably one of the most modular pieces in the game. And it's great that you can use your old wall tiles just to kind of add that first base layer. If you don't plan on stacking up, you can go here, get a small one once you line it up. And it takes a little bit of fiddling, but once you kind of figure it out, it's truly a pretty fun, I think I'm off for this wall here, but fun little bout of army, just map building here. This is a cool structure, and it adds really a lot of fun kind of ways to avoid viewing, and just, I think it's just a fun set. Is it necessary? I wouldn't say it's necessary, but I think the more fun you can add into Heroscape, the more necessary it becomes. So overall, I'm really impressed with this. It feels solid, like I'm shaking the table, and it's my tables that shaking, not even the structure itself. So if you build a good foundation, it definitely survives for a bit. So overall, really impressed with that. Does just wish it had some instructions to kind of better explain how to build it, the methods, but it just takes a little bit of playing with the system, and just know that you have to kind of move these bases around to get to the spot you want to be in. But some much needed, you build this on a map, people are going to definitely be drawn to it compared to just your standard kind of lore walls we've had in times past. So excited to play with these. We'll definitely, I guess my one thing I hope to see of this in the future is to have a bit of wall caps. So if you're looking to go crazy and build structures on top of it, because then it, put a little cap on top of it, and that connects to the land tiles, and then we're really cooking with some really elaborate designs. Maybe there'll be a future release, or maybe it'll never come, but that's my one thing I'm hoping to see. But overall, I definitely recommend that you pick this up, at least just one, for the verticality it adds to your map and the arcway that you can walk through, as well as the triangular walls that add a lot more unique kind of curvature and building options. All right, next up we have the Roads of Valhalla, which is a great thing just to add to your armies for playstyle. Road is one of the most beneficial pieces to have because it actually gets you into the combat faster. Pretty much road works that if you move your full movement on the road while starting on the road, you get to move an extra 3 spaces on the road, which sounds clunky, but ultimately it just gives you 3 extra spaces of movement on a designated path, which is great for slower moving armies. It just helps so many kind of slower melee armies just get up into the fray and be a bit more viable on some maps and stuff such as like that. Pretty much the Valkyrie generals are maintaining a system of roads is the lore on the back. You can read the back of the box for those if you want. Yeah, lots of opens. I don't think we're gonna spend all our time on road lore. All right, so we have these single hex road tiles entered into the game. These are a great way just to start building up your map. They fit nice. The wash doesn't seem to be as heavy as classic road tiles, but honestly, it's such an insignificant difference that unless you're pretty granular, it'll look just fine next to classic road. And yeah, they just build up. Again, I'm just going to be having fun in this regard as I get to play with my toys live on stream. So we're just opening this up here. It does have instructions for those road rules, which are nice. I think the big thing to know is height of stone walls is 2. So outside of it, that's from the inside, and the outside is 3. So they add a bit of movement blocking when moving. And it just has all the kind of semantics of the rules, which I definitely recommend you read through. They don't come up too often, but it's nice to have them on hand. I personally love playing with bridges. They're not seen too much in competitive maps, but also this is just a good way just to add a bunch of road if you want to do that. But I think bridges are a really unique part of army building that I wish we would see more of in more contemporary maps. I think the map pool for those wanting to play this at like Gen Con next year will be greatly benefited from this pack. And just kind of stack it up so. And there we go. We got a bridge, which is really nice to have. You can make those bridges as high as you want, or just do kind of something more small for just a little bit of height and alcoves. We of course have 4 of these walls, which is nice. The Road to the Forgotten Forest, which is this kind of a retread, only had 1 of these walls, so you get to have dueling bridges, which is nice. And you just put this here. And this is, again, just a great way to really enhance what you're playing with. These, of course, can stick on non-road pieces if you want to add little barriers. And they're just kind of a great little visual flair to include in your army. Overall, I like them. I'm a fan. And you don't even have to match them all to pieces. You can do some fun stuff like this. Kind of create gaps in the road. And overall, this is kind of a easy release set here, but it is just good to have in your army if you previously don't have any of these roads. Like I said before, roads are just a great thing to add. And if you're playing other systems, they add just a bit of visual flair. You have a lot here to start building cities and kind of more urban landscapes, which is nice. Kind of transitioning from that to from just kind of plain grass and such. So good release. I think it could use to have a couple like 2 hexers or 1 hexers in there, but overall I'm not disappointed with what's in it. This is kind of a thing that you buy as needed, I would say. That, you know, if you're planning on building expansive roadmaps, you might need more than 1 set, but I think 1 set is enough to get you a bit of a board presence on a bit of road presence on the board to really enhance that movement. And just they look cool. I think road tiles are some of my favorite tiles to build with. Next up, I've already reviewed these, but I got these in the piles. I'm gonna go through them. You can't stop me. I dare you to. You can't, see? We have the Utgar Dice. That actually, I'm gonna open up, but I probably should have opened the dice tray that also I got. But such is life. We're gonna open these up. These are Utgar Dice. I already opened these up in a previous live stream, but I think these are the best looking kind of special edition dice we've received so far. A little bit more clear. That dark red and dark black is great to have. It's a bit more clear than some other dice else released. These are not flag bearer dice. These are just kind of themed dice. So if you're running an all Utgar army, they work really well. They act as good replacements if you want something a bit different. Now, let's see if I can just open up. Let's see how lucky I am. 11, I'm slightly above average, so that's not terrible. So yeah, we got the dice here. Nothing too fancy, but you know, a great ad for those wanting to spice their dice. I'm hoping we get more dice of these in the future with the Jandar and Ular, my favorite general, as I think those would look really cool with this current design. I definitely wish that we had some different colored symbols to more easily kind of fast read, but these aren't terrible. These are definitely workable. All right, now this is an exciting one here. We have another dice set. This one is in the dice tray it comes with. This is the Valhalla dice tray. Yeah, this is pretty cool. This has a map of the current world of Valhalla that you're playing with, which is nice. Let's kind of, how do we even open this up? This might be the hardest thing that Heroscape has ever had to have opened, because this is kind of like vacuum sealed. I might have to cut this. Yeah, I'm not necessarily a fan of the packaging of this one. I sometimes like to keep the boxes and stuff like that for displays. I'm gonna have to cut right into this. There we go. Man, imagine if all the figures sealed like this. All right. Whew. A little bit of work there, but we got it done. Let's check out these dice. I don't think these are themed general dice. These are kind of more of a orangish, milky tone. Let's just, there we go. Okay, we got it all out of the packaging. So this is the tray. I think the tray itself is very nice quality. It's a nice flexible leather. And again, it has a Heroscape map on it. I do wish it said Heroscape somewhere on the tray. That's kind of my notations on that, is that it could definitely stand to, you know, showcase the actual name of the game you want to play at the bottom. Even just a little corner right here would be nice to have. So I hope we get some more future dice trays, but this is a fun novelty item. You know, it's nice to have some fun accessory merch that you can just buy into. And these dice feel, I don't know how to describe it, they feel a little bit crispier than the Utgar dice. Like, there's just a slight feel difference. These ones feel really nice. They have like a nice clacky sound compared to a clackety sound. I don't know, maybe that's semantic and maybe I'm just crazy. But let's see how they roll. Let's see what this dice rolls. 15, slightly better than this one. I will say the readability on these dice does suffer a bit, especially at least on the D20. I think the dice itself are all right. They're at least readable, but this D20 could have definitely benefited from black pips instead of gold pips. I think it looks really nice. I think it's. I think a lot of the things in the set really definitely kind of hit the mark, but it's fun. Yeah, the D20 I think is the most unfortunate side of this, but even then, it rolled me a 20. So I mean, you can't be too sad about that. But yeah, this is a fun thing to have in your collection. I think the dice tray itself is really well crafted. This is good quality. If you ever go to tournaments, you know that you have all your figures and all your dice. It's nice to have just a good tray to put everything in as you move from table to table to do that. And yeah, I think it's a fun little thing. I'm happy to get some official merch for Heroscape, just that you can kind of represent. I think the only thing I've mentioned before is just the branding. I want the logo on it, even on the side somewhere, just to let people know that I love playing this awesome game. Yeah, so we got that there. For maximum chaos, I also recommend that you just mix your dice. You can just grab a handful like this and just go, yeah, that's my roll. Lots of skulls. So don't do that. People will get mad at you, and they will talk to you about it. But you know, that's the best way to psychically damage your opponents. Just say these are all official dice. There are no rules against the dice, Batman. So yeah, the dice is nice. All right, we got ourselves our Deflectatron. He descends on the battlefield from space, and he creates force fields. He is a promo figure available with that was available with the purchase of the wave from Renegade's site at the time, but also he is an OP figure. So if you participate in a local tournament, odds are you'll be able to pick him up from there as well. So we have the figure. He's honestly like, I wish this guy followed Jandar. I feel like he'd be a really cool looking Jandar figure. I also get why they made him Vidar. He is just, I mean, he goes up to Q11. He's like, Daddy! But yeah, it's very simple design. They have a kind of that classic wash feel on this material. I do wish Renegade would eventually offer unpainted promos for those of us who want to paint them and not have to paint over something that is painted. But the paint job is fairly decent enough. You can just definitely see that with each release, the paint applications get more and more fine-tuned. There's nothing out of place, no uncolored figures, no base warping, at least from what I can tell. And he's just kind of a weird design. I mean, he's a tripod, three-figured, put together. He's definitely, the sculptor had fun making some kind of wacky guy. In terms of abilities, we're just gonna kind of glance over these. I don't think we need to dive into full extent of what they do. But pretty much he can drop from space with Orbital Deployment 3. I do wish it was just called Orbital Deployment. 3 kind of makes it seem like it's a dice roll or some kind of ability, but maybe there's other orbital deployments in the future. They are trying to kind of unify the language of the cards that will come out. But pretty much at the beginning of the round, you can just drop them within 3 spaces of your friendly figures. When he's next to a figure, they don't have line of sight, so he's not useful with ranged builds. But if you have something that just kind of needs to stick in a spot, or you want to kind of prevent opponents' range from kind of taking key spots, you can kind of put him there, as he also negates their visibility. He doesn't make leave an engagement attack, so you don't have a lot of like engagement tag with him. And he also just allows you to get 1 automatic shield up to your maximum of dice rolled for ranged attack. So he's an interesting figure. He is a guard, so there are some guard synergies in Classicscape. And for 25 points, he can kind of slot into an army and just drop him in. I've had decent success with him with some like melee core armies. Even with things for like crabs and warforged, I find that he works somewhat decently at what he's supposed to do. There's also some more advanced tech you can do with him, as you can drop him next to opponents like range wielders, aura wielders, like Raylan and stuff like that, to block their visibility, as a lot of those are limited by line of sight. And there's just some fun stuff you can do with him. He can't drop onto cliffs, but you can put him next to one and then move him there the next turn with his abilities. Overall, fairly fun figure. It's recommended that you don't need a lot of these in your army, like 1 or 2. You could theoretically run as many as you wanted, as the figure limit allows, and just start with no figures on the board of the game, unless you decide to put one in. So there's some goofy stuff you could do with him. He's kind of interesting. I was unsure on the sculpt and such like that, but it's kind of been growing on me before. You can kind of let him spin around, which is kind of fun. Let's see here. I have both painted and unpainted versions of these. All right. So we are opening up the Gelyrie box. The Gelyrie box has been my most box I've been looking forward to paint and open up. I think there is some really strong stuff in there. And let's see what we got here. So the back of the box, and then interesting, yeah, pretty much that we got the Kyrie's aquatic cousins coming from the deeps, which is pretty nice. So this is a 4-person melee squad, which is always nice to have. And an army, because that gives you lots of flexibility. I just love the way these models look unpainted. They have a lot of fun details. These are very finely sculpted models. Very finely sculpted models. The details are impeccable on these guys, and they are open to some really fun color choices if you choose to go off canon. I think Slowking is my favorite model of the bunch, but I am partial to Conch fan club as well. Honestly, I don't feel like these guys are too big. There's some reports that these were gigantic. They seem, I think it's honestly their wingspan is a bit big on them. These guys are kind of like a Kyrie deviation, which is interesting. Yeah, overall, really nice and fun design. I will definitely go into their card abilities. And here we have the baby Kraken. This is a fun unit that just you know, I'm definitely gonna paint this guy like Slowpoke or Slowbro, and painting this guy like Omanite. Like that's a shoe-in for sure. And that's the great thing about these. These are common, so you can do some fun variations on painting schemes and such when you get them. Yeah, this is a big unit. You know, comparatively, this is a Tanuki here, which themselves are a big unit. So really fun to paint these guys. I like when a model is both unique in sculpt but simple to paint. So these guys definitely hit the bill. You know, there's not a lot of colors you need, but you can do a lot of fun things when you paint this. And let's compare these to the painted set now. As we can see, the paint jobs have significantly just improved over time. These do feel like premium paint jobs. Something that you would even get from other retailers and model makers. Yeah, these guys are crispy. That's, for lack of a better word. Yeah, so we have this guy here. I think they could use a slightly heavier wash application for their faces and stuff like that. But they have this weird kind of shimmering, yeah, very, very shiny sheen to them, which is fun. And so both these are available separately. So this is kind of a great way to see if you're not a painter. Of course, you can just dive right in, get those pre-painted sets, or if you want to put some paint to it, like I often do, there's a great base for you to build up on. These are relatively simple to do, and there's great ways to build them up. I think the hardest part about painting will be the interior of these wings. Will be a bit of a booger, but ultimately it won't be too bad. Just glancing at the cards real fast, it does feel honestly like I'm working backwards. Heroscape just had a bunch of new releases, so it almost feels like I'm way behind the curve on this. The cards feel very nice and sturdy. So we have the Krakenling here. Allows you to warp space, which pretty much allows you to put it with anywhere than 4 spaces of it, so that maps with lots of height and such. You're able to travel there quickly, as well as able to switch space with a single space opponent with Eldritch Switch, which is a really great way just to kind of like tactical switch of the Warforged. You get a lot of maneuverability and glyph stealing with these guys, which is really nice. He can attack once for each life he has. Oh, we can attack up to 3 times and reduce that by 1 for each wound he has. He has solid stats: attack 4, defense 5. In right armies, he'll stick a while, as 5 defense is hard to crack into reliably. And he of course can swim, which would be disappointing if he didn't have that. The Gelyrie, I think, are a lot more interesting in terms of just army composition. You have the Tidal Advance, which allows you to move a fierce, unfathomable figure. Of course, that allows you to work with the Awashia, the Krakenling, and we also have some future unfathomable units revealed recently, like the Kraken itself. So there's some fun army building stuff there. They also get to roll more defense reliably when they're on water on lower elevation. So if these guys are reliably rolling 4 attacks these guys are reliably rolling 4 defense as they advance, and they get to swim, of course, because they're fish people, and it would make sense for them not to do that. Yeah, so really fun guys. I think fish people, I think the oceans have been calling out to the story of Valhalla for a while, so it's nice to finally be exploring that and going further into it. So these are the guys. I'm overall pretty happy with this lot here. I've honestly just been wanting to dive into them and, pardon the pun, and just kind of get some paint on these guys. So definitely expect some painting tutorials on them as we continue going through more boxes. They're sturdy, which is nice. And next up, we got the Scions and Greatbow archers. These are little tiny baby dragons that represent classic Heroscape units. And then we got some great big dragons that are intent on killing those dragons. Anything interesting in the back of the box? No, they're just little annoying dragons that are pretty much kind of the spoiled rotten brats of their elderlings, and the Icarians are bent on killing them. So interesting stuff to explore here. I like the Scions lore a whole lot. It's kind of funny. As Mimering from Classicscape is now a babysitter. All right, so this is the unpainted box here. These, no joke, these giants do feel giant. Like, this is the largest squad so far released in the game, and you can just tower over your opponents if you draft a bunch of these guys. These are common, so you can get a bunch. These guys are so big that they've even done the bow detailing, which has never been done before on a Heroscape unit, like the bowstring. Yeah, these guys are going to be really fun to paint. These guys, I think, this is the most transferable box if you're playing RPGs, if you're looking to play your D&D game. You got a bunch of wormlings and you got some fun hill giants to kind of throw in the mix as well. Like, this guy is just, again, this is a pirate, this is a standard side unit, and they tower over them. I think they're large 8 or something like that. So really big. That largeness makes them relatively immune to a lot of like movement and displacement damage and some auto wound abilities as well. So large is like the best size to be. Large and in charge. Then we got the other one. Now these sculpts I think I like a lot more unpainted, just because I paint, but it's just the detail on these are really fun, nice, simple, and I've been wanting to paint these guys for a bit, so that's the main reason I'm opening this box today. We got the Scions. Scions are a lot more detailed than I think they look in their pre-painted renders. Got a lot of fun little details. This is of course based off Braxis, the classic black dragon that breathes acid. This one is, you have your Mimering right here, classic copper dragon, and he's eating a little lizard guy called a Pello, which if you read Zelrig's bio is very interesting. And then we have Hamlet dragon here, ready to give a soliloquy upon the stage. I think, honestly, in terms of sculpt, I wish they were just a bit more generic and not doing action poses as are common, but that's just a minor nitpick. These are really fun dragons that I am looking forward to paint. Got a lot of just unique little texture and scaling on them. The sculptors really honestly just did a great job on these. Fun little guys, they just look like they will slot right into an army, and they do bond with dragons and a whole host of other things, as we'll see here. And then we're just gonna open up the pre-painted box as one jump to escape upon arrival. So yeah, the detailing on this is really nice. I'm never a fan of painted eyes on Heroscape models, but that is a nitpick. They did a good job of putting it where it goes. The silver armor, it has this kind of iconic look of the classic pieces to it. And yeah, this is not bad pre-painted. Like, looks a lot better than a lot of other similarly sized units. Of course, you have a little bit of overwash right there, but that's expected in kind of factory run stuff. But honestly, yeah, if you're not a painter, this is not a bad application at all. This is probably one of the better looking units we've seen so far, I think, pre-painted. So very cool, very, very cool in that regard. And here's the other one. I do like how they have more people of color entering Escape. I think it's just a good thing to include as well. These ladies are buff. I will give them that. They have lots of muscles. Yeah, and they're just big giants. So very fun units. Very fun units to see. We'll dive into their cards. And we have Baby Braxis here. This was inspired by like that cat meme. That facial recognition is how they got that for the sculptor, which they revealed, which I think is kind of funny. Yeah, very, very solid. If you're looking for a black wormling for your army, this is a great guy to pick up here. I think this is better than a lot of traditional fantasy boxes that you can get. And we have this guy who's just a little bit goofy. To be or not to be is his question, but he's got a little bird skull. And honestly, painting white is kind of hard, so I do appreciate how they kind of had this nice grayish. He doesn't look too muddy with the wash applications. Very nice, very, very subtle detailing on this, because oftentimes the white dragons, when you get them pre-painted, have a tendency to look kind of gray as they just overdo the wash. And I think this looks pretty decent. We have this guy. I think this guy definitely works the worst out of the bunch. We have some overcoating there, and the copper just look a little bit too glossy compared to the other ones, but not terrible. From 3 feet away and from someone who's not particular about this kind of stuff, it's definitely suit your army and save you a little bit of time of painting him. Yeah, I think this is, whew, he flew into my hands. Someone call him Ring. These guys, they have the ability to bond with any Dragon King, Queen, or Archmage. So you can bring these guys up with Sonlin, both new and old, as he is kind of, I guess, a dragon tamer. And yeah, these guys have one of the most expansive synergy webs in the whole game. They also get a special ranged attack of 4 when they attack someone within 3 sights of their dragon. So these guys are very reliant on their chosen hero. They fall quickly once their liege is no longer nearby. So in terms of army building, you can slot these guys in a lot of armies. You can do it with Sinithrax or Sonlin, as mentioned before. You can also bond with the Queen, who now has a bunch of bonding options with the entire squad announced. So these guys have a wide synergy web. They're a little fragile, a little, kind of easy to kill, but I think in the right build, they can definitely make some units in contemporary format very viable, or a little bit more useful. And these guys are interesting. I've played against them, and they're nasty. They can shred certain armies up. Pretty much, you have to be within 7 exactly, or 7 or greater. You're going to add 2 to their attack value, which brings up to 5 or 6 with height. And then if it's range 4 or greater, you can add 1. So odds are you're attacking with these guys at 4. They also don't get a move if they do that. So if you can kind of set up a ring of these guys around key areas, they can just kind of pick off anyone that dares approach. These guys are common and they have 2 lives, so they're sticking around. These guys are 3 defense, 2 life is kind of a surprisingly durable thing. All right, let's dive into some Dryads. This is the painted edition. We'll start off with first. This is okay. So the one thing I have about Dryads is their names are easy to mix up. So I will have to do. This is Marachat, not to be confused with Halachat, or goes for more a brown tone as the wash. It's got some interesting colors. I'm glad that they're starting to bring a bit of purple in, and they have a lot of balance of natural tones, which is really unique, I think. Overall, I think it's an interesting take. I think this thing could use from a darker tone applied. It does seem to have like these tentacle things on the back, which I've never noticed before. I think they're supposed to be like vines, but they do look very similar to the hair of the XL pirates, which is interesting. Okay, next up we have itty bitty guy. Again, I'm not going to be able to remember their names. This is Frono. Good old Frono. Frono is just a good little wall to have. I think he's the most bulky beast released thus far. And I like his applications. This is definitely one that I'm excited about painting myself. But the colors, I think, look really, really strongly defined. And you kind of know where it's at. He's got these like raging blood maroon vines on him, which I think are pretty cool. Overall, he's smaller than he feels like he should be, but maybe that's just because the initial HasLab previews rendered him differently. But I kind of like that he's a little guy. I do wish he was a large guy to better bond with another unit, like kind of make him a bit more exclusive, but I also do like how he's able just to slot in to any Dryad build, which is nice. Then we have, I want to say this is Garushia, not to be confused with Felucia or Marichat. All right, I call this guy the angry artichoke. Just look at him. He's just an angry little plant guy. I actually really like the vine details on the back and the kind of angry, ugly face he has. I appreciate when the unit can just be confidently ugly, like intentionally. But yeah, he's a fun little guy. I like the writhing vines, which I'm sure must be hard to mold. They have a bit of flexibility to them, which is nice. So they aren't just like solid plastic will snap off, it seems. Yeah, but overall, very cool guy. That pale yellow will be interesting to paint. I probably want to go more for a more darker green tone on him. We have little Chana, who's a fun little bird familiar. Very interesting kind of purpley reflective kind of carapace on this guy, as well as just kind of some simple fur detailings. This is a very unique build. Honestly, let's see these wings. The wings still pretty sturdy as well. They have a bit of bend and flexibility to them, which is always nice. All right, then last two we have the big boy in the box. Well, big girl now, actually. Haluchat. This thing towers above all the other Dryads, which I guess makes sense. She's like a commander of large beast. But I always envisioned her more of a medium, but I kind of like how she's she's as big as a giant, bigger than a giant, because she's floating. Very cool sculpt. Like if you're looking for a big boss in your campaign, you know, kind of an enclave of evil druids, this is definitely a fun unit just to kind of throw on the table, I think. I love the little bone detailings, and the face mask is gonna, I think there's gonna be a lot of room for customization there. I think it's indented, so it's not freeform. This cape is really nicely detailed. This is a fun unit. It's a cool unit, I'd say, in terms of visual appeal. I like the colors. I like this kind of dark maroon and tan. I think this one has the best color choices of the Dryads thus far. So really fun units here. I don't know if Dryads are fully competitive at this point, but they are nice just to slot into an army. I've seen some nice use of Haluchat with Arboreas builds. Speaking of him, let's look at what he does. He is able to command 2 beasts on his turn instead of the usual 1, and he can go up to large beast. He also has a special attack that he can use in addition to his normal attack, which is really nice. And he can also, this is more of a ribbon feature, if he's ever decreased attacked by a beast, increase her defense value by 2. So if he's ever attacked by a beast, you can increase her defense value by 2. So a bulky 6 at that point. It's more of a niche thing. It's if you know you're going to like an Arboreas army or something. I can't imagine it comes up too much until there's more beast in the game. Also, Haluchat can just fly, just just because. So a stacked card here, 125 points, 5 move, attack 3, defense 4. And yeah, there's a lot you can do with this card. 125 points is a weird point to slot into an army, but overall, I think it's pretty nice. I've definitely had some theory crafted some builds associated with that. We have Chana here, who is kind of, I think, overburdened with wordiness. She's a Zenith Wing Beast. She has the ability to heal and stealth fly. Pretty much she has to heal a wizard and be within clear sight of a wizard. And have to roll a 12 or higher instead of attacking. So I think she's kind of niche. I wish that threshold was a little bit lower. And she can also attack, so she's not just kind of there for support. But healing is a rare ability in this game, so the ability to do it relatively easily is not to be discounted. And 30 points is a nice thing just so you can slot into some armies. Then we have Gryushia, who I think has some really unique tech here. He is able to, again, take a turn with the beast, as all Dryads are. Pretty much if a unit moves next to him, there's a chance for them to stop moving and also take a wound. And the threshold's pretty low with a 10. If you get an 18 or higher, they of course get the wound. He's able to reach, so he has a limited range applied to his card. And then he has just the ability to remove wounds while next to a tree. So if you stack him and Chana at 6 life, 3 defense, he's sticking around for a bit. He's really great at opposing melee builds, strong melee builds, as he's just kind of, he's risky to engage with, because very least you're attacking with lower attacks or you're taking that wound. So fun little unit to slot into an army. I don't know if he's an army core builder yet, but he's just kind of, Dryans are meant to be kind of loose and just adaptable. Then we have Vrano the Brambletooth. He is just a tiny little guy, very similar to Gryushia, except you need a 12 or higher instead of 10 or higher. But he does have more defense, which is nice. I do wish Gryushia was just this designated tank where they had 4 defense and 6 life, just to kind of stick around and be annoying. I think it would give him more of a presence on the battlefield. But comes saw. And then we have Marachant. Again, take a turn with the familiar. Staff of Kerupian, which is really nice. You add 2 automatic skulls to whatever is rolled. So you are having consistent output when you attack with her. And she also gets to potentially take a turn with your own heroes or enemy heroes. It's tough because you do have to be within 2 spaces, but you can double attack with your familiars. Or, you know, even taking control of your opponent's enemy figure that gets too close to you can alter the whole course of the game with one good bout. So very fun. I like that they have 6 lives. I like that heroes have a bit more bulkiness to them. These guys are, I think, fun just to slot into an army. I wouldn't build an army all of Dryans, as they have a little bit of overlap, but I think each one is individually pretty unique. Look at the unpainted real fast. For the cards. Oh yeah, the unpainted figures have so much I want to work with on these guys. I'm excited to dive into them. Honestly, I'm more used to analyzing the unpainted figures than the pre-painted, because I traditionally don't get those to look into. So I appreciate the ability to compare and contrast. The model sketches alone are pretty nice. Of course, these all have that wash on them, so you can just start playing. But the cloaks and the fur effect are going to be really great to dive into. I think he definitely still suffers a bit from overcrowding the face area, but just a dry brush on this guy will be a great way to buff him up. She's going to get the biggest glow up from pre-painted to me-painted, as I think there's a lot to work with here, and we can get some more stronger contrast and definition on this model. I'm excited to dive into this one. This is a fun little guy here. Honestly, this is a really good speed paint application one, I think, just because it's so small. I just want to get these details filled in. And China has a lot of details that are not shown on the model that are going to be really nice to come through. They're kind of smaller details, so this one will be a unique one to figure out how to paint the best. And that is the Dryan pack. All right, so just kind of threw those aside, but these are all pirates. That's their lore. All right, so yeah, these guys definitely do feel smaller than they've felt like they would be. but I guess they're just kind of medium sized, which is nice. Like I just always felt like these guys would be almost like the size of the frost claws, but they're not like terribly disproportionate. They do just seem slightly underscaled, especially this one here. He just feels smaller than the rest. Like it's one thing to have a varied squad, but then it's another thing to have a unit that's just significantly smaller. It doesn't even feel like he kind of goes with the rest of them. So minor nitpick there, but the scaling definitely is off. It feels like these guys, they just feel a little small. I wish these guys had a bit more bigger, stronger presence, as they're just these really cool, bulky units. They do have lots of little detailing on them, which, you know, those famously watching the channel know that, you know, it can be a little bit tedious to go through, but the facial sculpts are really nice on these. Like, these guys will take a bit of time. I'm going to do a good job on them, as they have lots of details. Probably will be making a video on them, just on how to more accurately do details on a model like this. Like, you got these coils, these pouches, these packs. They're really cool. I really appreciate the sculptor for these. These are part of the original HasLab, actually the last figures from the HasLab, and it's nice to, I think, get these guys and gradually move more to some more simpler models like the giants. But all that said, I don't want to appear too negative. They are really cool looking. I think these guys are going to probably have the most dynamic range out of all these things, just because they do have all those details. So it's kind of a double-edged sword with these guys, as I think they'll respond really well to speed paints. You can just do a really good speed paint application on these, or if you want to, you can really buff up these awesome looking weapons. I appreciate how they're all very unique and distinct, and yeah, I think they're pretty cool units. Then we have the Crimson Widow herself, who definitely does feel a little bit small, comparatively just underscaled by about 20% compared to the other pirates, but maybe she's just short in real life. Yeah, I was originally kind of more excited to paint this unit, but I'm not super stoked about the model itself. I like her more for her abilities and her utility, I think, in an army, as we'll dive into, more so than the sculpt itself. I don't think this was ever the most interesting sculpt to come out of, but she is a historical, and there's some fun stuff to do with the patchwork and the facial features. Yeah, I think they're pretty cool. And let's look at the painted models real fast. Now, I think the pre-paints on these are pretty well done. You have that two-tone shading of the shark, as well as the details pretty finely laid out on the model here. So I'm very impressed with these guys pre-painted. I think these are one of the better pre-paints we've seen out of the whole lot. I appreciate the applications, and yeah, they even got like the teeth and the eyes painted, which I think is really, really good. And then we have, they do feel just a bit more dynamic with colors on them. And then we have the angry ape here. He's okay. I think his skin tone blends in a bit with the leather used, but you really don't notice those underside areas because you're focusing on the giant warhammer and coils coming out of him. This is a really fun unit. I love this design. I've been waiting to see him for a bit. And then we have a little green Durgith, which I love painting green, so I'm excited to get this guy all painted up as well. But yeah, he's a funny little guy, and I like him. And then we have the Crimson Widow, whose I think paint applications is fairly decent. I wish they went with more of a darker tone for the pants, as it kind of looks like she's not wearing any. But overall, I think she's just short. I think canonically she's just a shorter character compared to some other units. So fun use of purples in the mix. Very, very vibrant which I think there's some fun stuff we can do. So yeah, that's the colored options right there. Let's glance at the cards real fast as we close this out. Again, these come in little sandwich bags. So we have Crimson Widow, who has the amazing ability to, first off, make any unique squad in the game a pirate. So that opens up a lot of options, both Classicscape and Modernscape. So you can turn your bears into pirates, or you can turn your samurai into pirates. A lot of fun options there. Pretty much you are able to, if you have a revealed order marker owner, all pirates get an extra attack when attacking adjacent figures. And that stacks with making the unique figures into pirates as well. And it doesn't even have to be revealed. So you can put your X marker on Crimson Widow. And then you can reveal the X marker to move pirates 3 spaces each for a little bit more development. Early game, that's really nice if you're running, because it's sheep pawns with like the exiles, and you can kind of zoom across the board. Strong attack of 4, low defense of 3, 150 points, but she can really change the course of an army. So if you're looking to bust open pirates, she is a must. And then we have the Dreadnoughts, who are pretty much just tankier versions of the exiles. They have 2 lives and 3 defense and a fast move of 6. These guys are interesting because they can get the Captain's Way ability, which allows them to bond and choose a chosen captain, and also get an extra defense from ranged attack. So they can, 4 defense does a lot better than 3 defense into range. And these guys are hero killers and multi-life squad killers, because they are able to inflict an additional wound depending on their dice roll after they attack. So they can do multi-wounds with a single attack, getting rid of those pesky multi-life squads. And fun thing about this, if you run both Dreadnoughts and Exiles, you can use Cornelius and double Mutiny with them based off his card text power. So overall, I think this is a great way. It's exciting to finally have reached the end of the previewed units from the Age of Annihilation, and I'm excited for what Heroscape has stored in the future. Again, your support is appreciated. You can check out the link below to get these items for yourself. The Embers of War completes a lot of factions that are missing some key components, so it's definitely something worth picking up if you are a Heroscape fan. Again, subscribe if you are a fan of Heroscape and painting, because we cover both on this channel, and it's a great time to be a fan of this game. I think that's it. It's been a crazy week for Heroscape, and I have some spooky stuff to plan. So you all take care, and thanks for watching.